Bonjour mes amis, et bienvenue au Pendu dans la Lune. Hello friends, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know from my attempt at a French introduction that this is my series in which I use Tarot de Marseille adjacent, and antique Italian decks to answer a question that I pull out of my larger, primarily Rider-Waite-Smith-based tarot spread each week. So I do that large spread, and I do a video around it. And then I look for what further question that spread seems to indicate to us, and I pull that question out, and I answer that question with usually 3 or 4 cards from, again, Tarot de Marseille adjacent, or antique Italian decks. So that's what we've got. And the larger spread, if you have not seen that yet, I recommend going to see that. And if I'll put a card up here for you to click on and jump over to see that video, because that video is, in a sense, a part 2 of what turned out to be a 2-part series, 2-spread series reading. The first one, which was from the week before this, was about obstacles as opportunities, and the one this week was about obstacles which are more challenging. Yeah, and I titled it, "Are We Ready?" Because sometimes those obstacles are an indication that we may actually not be ready at all, and we may need to do some work. So there's that whole spread. But one interesting thing, among many interesting things of that spread, was that there were 3 queens that appeared in the spread from different decks. From one deck, we had the Queen of Cups. From another deck, we had the Queen of Pentacles. From a third deck, we had the Queen of Wands. Interesting, right? But there was one that was missing. Yeah? When I got 3 of one, especially when they're spread out of over 3 decks, I got 3 queens, 3 different queens from 3 different decks. That really makes me wonder, where the heck is the Queen of Swords? The one that was missing. Why is that Queen of Swords missing? And so, I pondered it over to myself, and I kind of thought I got an idea of why that Queen of Swords might be missing. But I thought, is it possible that Tarot de Marseille, or a tarot deck, could answer that question as well? Could it help me investigate the question of why is something not there? Why did the Queen of Swords not show up? So that's my question, and let's see if I can answer that question with cards from Tarot de Marseille. So the question is, why was the Queen of Swords absent from this week's spread? Now I had 2 ideas for how to handle this. One was to shuffle the deck and then go looking for the Queen of Swords and see either which cards flanked it, or which cards came before it, or which cards came after it. And because I couldn't really settle on where I should look I look at the Queen of Swords between two cards, or the cards before her, the cards after her? I couldn't decide, and so I just decided to let the deck tell me. And so that's what I did. I shuffled the deck, I threw 3 cards. Let me show you what came up. Take a look. So, I just showed you the question in text form, so you could read it. It's not that difficult a question. Why was the Queen of Swords absent from this week's spread? And I said that I pulled 3 cards, and then I showed you 4, right? From left to right, there was the 9 of discs, the 4 of wands, the King of Wands, and then the 3 of swords. So when the King of Wands showed up at the right-hand side of the spread, looking off to the right, My inclination was, let's see what the king is looking at. Especially since there were two wands and one discs, one coin card for the spread. Okay, so what is the king looking at? Turned out to be the king was looking at a sword, which helped, I think, fulfill the answer to this question. So I'm going to read this left to right. The king is looking to the right, only person card. That's the way I'm going to read it. So, starting with the 9 of discs. This deck, by the way, is from Deviant Moon. Patrick Valenza does some facsimiles of antique decks, and this is the Besançon deck by Patrick Valenza. I'll have a link below if you want to go check it out or any of his other facsimile decks. They're not very cleaned up. They're pretty much just making a facsimile as visible as possible kinds of reproductions, and I love this deck. It's new to my library, but I love this deck immensely. Beautiful, interesting backs to it. It's a gorgeous deck. I love the blues in this deck and the reds. The reds are intense but not glaring, right? The blues are kind of an aqua, a deep jewel like aqua. Just love them. So, anyways, 9 of discs. Interesting card to start with, right? 9 of discs. For me, it could be a period of rest. Now, the 9s for me in Tarot de Marseille are, from the 8s, we've got all of this activity. It's the most active part of the spread and of each suit, I mean. And then we got this kind of a collapse often in the 9. Yeah, the 9 of swords could be like a mental break for me. 9 of cups can be, for many it's a wish card, but for me it could be like emotional overload. Yeah, the energy's just gotten too much. So it could be that a period of rest. Yeah, this one little disc there in the center, one coin in the center, is separated from all of the others, and it's like it's found its place to take a nap and to retrieve, to discover its motivation again for that last 10 spurt, which ends the suit and moves on to another. But it could also be having everything that you need in order to begin something new, in order to begin a new life. It could also be transformation that leads us to a new endeavor of some sort. Yeah, the coins for me are the work, the daily tasks, and also the physicality of life, the material stuff, our health, but also our homes, the stuff we have in our homes, the stuff we carry around with us, all of that, our money. So it could be that transformation leads to a new endeavor, the work, the daily work, leading to a new way of working. Now, because the 10 is that transition, the transition of the work into something perhaps a little spiritual. Maybe, could be one option. It's creating a niche also in an existing system. There's this existing system of these 4 here, these 4 here, and there's this new thing here in the center which has found its niche in the system. Not breaking the system apart, not becoming the leader of the system, like it might be in a 5 or a 7, but more of a 5. But here, just finding its corner, its space in the middle of the system to do its stuff, to do its thing. So there are these possibilities, right, for this card. And some of them do reflect the reading that we did just previously. The video that I uploaded yesterday, if you're watching this now, the day that I upload this, the video I uploaded yesterday, this reflects a lot of those ideas. Now, that we do want to create our own space for our own rejuvenation and ability to transform and move into the next thing, to move beyond or to find a path that does not have an obstacle in front of it. Because again, that was the obstacle, almost dead end kind of obstacle that we were facing in that spread. So, period of rest, finding our motivation, finding transformation that leads to a new endeavor, not the one that we were on, which seems to be blocked, but a new endeavor. Also creating a niche inside of where we are now. And maybe instead of moving forward, we find a space in where we are, which allows a new thing to grow. Maybe this becomes a new ace of pentacles rather than going to the 10. Pentacles, the new ace of discs, for a new opportunity in this niche to burst forth. Because I think sometimes the 9 can move back to a new opportunity for a bursting of new possibility, rather than the completion of the 10 and moving on. There are both possibilities here. And then we move to the 4 of Wands, routine for me. Now these 4 wands are crossed here, and the 4 is stability of passions. It's passion that is repeated and repeated steadily. Perseverance, depending on how you pronounce it. Developing habits. Doing the creative work. Like a writer doesn't only write when they feel the muse. A good writer knows that they write every day. There's a routine. A good painter knows that they paint every day or whatever their period is. And they have a routine for painting, for creating. They sketch, they draw. If they're not able to work on this painting, they start sketching and they practice in another way. But that's the routine, right? There's a routine to creativity. And that's part of this as well. It could also be the desire from the 3 is now manifest in the 4. A stable manifestation of that desire. Becoming reality. It could be making a living with creative efforts and assuming one's own power. Now, that the 3 before is powerful. It's a breakthrough from the 2, where the creation really begins, but it's still unstable. And the power there is still unstable. And here the power becomes stable. Our power is now, stable. I have no other good synonyms that come to mind. Stable. Stable. And this also gives us a little bit of an echo of the other reading, I believe. The other reading told us both that we want to both move on and dig deep in a way. But also that we are moving in the direction of the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands was the ultimate queen for that spread. And perhaps the way to embody our queeniness, our Queen of Wandsness, is after we recognize this, is to find our pace again. Like a marathon runner might stumble and then finds their pace again. And that's important because if we can do that, then maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to move into the King of Wands. Beautiful card. Yeah? The King of Wands, some people point to this. Let me find it here. Point to this, which is visible in some cards and not so visible in some cards, but very visible here. That pointy bit of the wand, it looks like it's piercing or about to pierce the king's foot. So king even needs to be a little bit careful what he's doing with his wand. We want to be careful of what we're doing with our passions. But still, the king. We all have queens, we all have kings as parts of our being. whether we are male beings, we are female beings, we are cis beings, we are trans beings, we are non-binary beings, whether we are any manifestation that we are in, we're in transition, whatever. We are all kings, we are all queens. So, as we embody our King of Wandsness, which may be the next step after we have embodied the Queen of Wands of the previous spread, we see the big picture. Which often reminds me of the King of Swords, frankly, but there's also a different kind of passion picture, a creativity picture, a picture of direction and path rather than and leadership, rather than the temporal, wide, long-range view of the King of Swords. So maybe that's one way of distinguishing. The King of Swords is the long distance, the long view. The King of Wands is the wide view, the big view, the leadership view. And he's the leader. He also overcomes challenges, which was the point of the other suit, The other spread was overcoming a challenge. So we become this from the queen of the previous spread, then we can move into the king. Maybe we're called to lead. Maybe we're called to lead by example. Now, the Queen of Wands in the other spread is the one who draws people together, draws with her magnetism and her charisma, and other people want to become like her. But it's a little different from leading, right? Wanting to emulate and following are a little bit different. Yeah? This is the royal who is the leader, who people follow. Because they've mastered their energy, their vitality, and their creativity and their sexuality. Not just being the smoky, steamy seducer of others, but my sexuality is now channeled into doing whatever it is that I'm doing. That's my power. That's an aspect of my power. Not my only power, but an aspect of my power. Of the fullness of my power includes my creativity, my sexuality, my vitality as the King of Wands. Whether I'm in a female body, a male body, a trans body, a cis body, whatever way I'm manifesting. But does this answer the question yet? Why was the Queen of Swords absent from this week's spread? Well, from this week's spread, maybe because we hadn't gotten this far. So maybe we need to, we went to the Queen of Wands in the last spread. Now we need to go to the King of Wands to accomplish the Wands suit. And as we accomplish the Wands suit, that's up. The reverse Seven of Wands, which was in the previous spread, is now uprighted and dissolves as an obstacle and becomes an opportunity. And so why did I draw that last card? Because as we embody this, we now move fascinatingly into the Three of Swords. We are now able to move into the swords suit for the queen, which was absent. Now, it would have been cool if the Queen of Swords had appeared here, that we become the king and then the queen appears, but we got her suit. We got the breakthrough. We get the testing out of ideas and getting feedback. Now, there's a reciprocal, communicative aspect of the swords suit, right? So, now that we got our crap together, now we're able to interact more freely. We're able to accept feedback, both from people, from the world. I try this, I see this reaction. That's also communicative feedback in more physical form. Our ideas blossom here. Now that central sword is an idea that is not just the first idea of the ace, but this idea that blossoms now. And you can see these two gold like scallions on a wall here, but a sign of opulence to me. Do you see these two gold-ish things here on the sides? Yeah, a sign of opulence. That blossoming, the opulence of fresh thought and vigorous thought and vision. Vision with the eyes, but also the vision of the third eye. Yeah, there's also that, but also the vision of the future. So actually seeing and then the vision, right? Enthusiasm for study and reading and learning ideas. Not the learning of the Page of Pentacles, for example, but in Rider-Waite-Smith decks, but the learning of ideas and thoughts and theory and from history and from other people's talking, from YouTube. And yes, there is an immaturity to the three. And maybe that immaturity could cause us to act in ways that are not quite so discerning, but we can learn from that as well. So this card reminds us also of that bursting forth of ideas and not the bursting forth of the ace, but the blossoming of ideas in the three, and the desire for our own intellectual development. And that's the reason why the Queen has not arrived yet. Because when we've arrived at that Wands barrier, we're not ready to become the Queens. We're just not ready yet. And after we've mastered our wands in the King, once we've mastered our wands, then we can move into the blossoming of ideas and move in the direction of our Queen of Swords-ness, which is what? Well, for me, the Queen of Swords is the independent thinker. The one, again, with clear vision, can see past the clouds and can cut through the bullshit that may be hurled at her, intentionally or unintentionally, can cut through the bullshit. With clear vision, honesty, clarity, wit. The Queen of Swords is the witty one of the deck for me. So that's why it was missing, because in that spread that we were looking at, we weren't ready to be the Queen. And the way for us to move into it, to reclaim our Queen of Swordsiness, is perhaps this way. To first take the moment to rest, as the other spread indicated. Find our niche in where we are now. Transform and allow that transformation to lead us perhaps in a different direction from where we were going. And as we move in that direction, we move in the direction of routine and steadiness in our passions, because we were thrown off kilter with that upright 7 in the other spread. With the upright, the reversed. The topsy-turvy 7 in the other spread. So we find our footing, we find our pace, our steadiness, our desire becomes reality. And as in the Wands, we continue into the King of Wands. We fully own our suit. And then we're ready for the blossoming, in preparation for our queeniness, our Queen of Swordsiness to manifest. And then this Queen of Swords will manifest, right? Doesn't that make sense? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I would really love to hear what you think. How would you read these cards? Does that make sense? Especially coming from the previous spread. Does that make sense? Am I all the way out in left field? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you have not subscribed yet, hit the subscription button and click the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. I do 2 a week. And I may start doing 3 a week, maybe a little, maybe not regularly, maybe at intervals. I've got an idea for a new series with how I work with Tarot in a way. Probably right away Smith-based, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm still in formulation, and I think I know where I'm going to go within the first video if it becomes a series. So if you want to know about that, you can ask me below, or just hang out. Hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when my videos are uploaded, and you'll get notifications of the first video. And hit the thumbs up button if you have not already, so that YouTube knows that you and other people might like this video, and it helps the algorithm. It helps draw eyes to the channel, it helps the channel. And friends, thank you. I am eternally grateful for your coming on this journey with me now and every time I do this for and with you. Because it really is not just for you, it is with you, I believe. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.